Hi, my name is Josh Boyce. Most people call me Boyce, and I'm a graduate of devCodeCamp. And today I'm going to be telling you a little bit about my experience there and also giving a demonstration of one of the projects I built during the course. So I'll start with a little background. Prior to coming to devCodeCamp, I was an agent with Allstate for a number of years, and Allstate would roll out new software for the agencies pretty regularly, or they would tell us about a program they wanted us to use. So it became my job to find, figure out, and incorporate new software for our business. So over time, my role kind of shifted to the tech guy, and I really enjoyed that so much more than typical agent work. So the desire to learn how to actually code just grew stronger and stronger over time. And then one day I came across devCodeCamp. So as I was looking into the course more, they stressed that the course was very practical and hands-on, which was exactly what I was looking for. And I did not want to sit through 4 years of lectures. I wanted to be able to start building something on day one, and that's what we did. And at the end of the course, the most amazing feeling for me was looking back and realizing that just a few weeks prior, I had no coding experience whatsoever, and now I'm a junior developer, and it was just awesome. I would say that the most important thing I learned during the course was how to teach myself. And I had the hunger to learn already, but they really forced us outside of our comfort zone to figure things out on our own. And I hated it then, but I'm really thankful now, because now I have the confidence that I can teach myself and learn any coding language or skill that I need to know. And in this industry, that continual growth is just so important. So without further ado, I'm going to jump into my project demonstration. And this was what's called the Capstone at devCodeCamp. So for the final 2 weeks of the course, we would come up with a project on our own, present the idea to the instructors, and then we would build it. So here we go.
Alright, so the project that I chose for my capstone is an e-commerce site for outdoor equipment that also manages external remote inventories. So the reason I chose this was because prior to going to devCodeCamp, I was in the process of starting an online store for supplemental income, and I was really making a lot of headway. Found and registered with a supplier, I got my retail license, I even drew a logo, but I got stuck when I realized that I didn't have the technical skills I needed to build the site and features the way that I wanted and needed to. So I had tried different e-commerce services like Shopify, but it was so restrictive, and you had to pay all these fees for any of the modifications and features that you needed, and it still wasn't the way you wanted it. So on top of having this strong desire to learn software development for a very long time, that was really the nail in the coffin for me in deciding to go to school for it. And that's why I chose this as my capstone. So let me go ahead and show you my site.
Alright, this is Jungle Boy Gear, and your hunt for quality outdoor equipment is over. And here's the logo I was talking about, and the Jungle Boy. Here's the product categories. You can search for a specific product here: shopping cart, wish list, account. And here's some items I've been looking at. I can sign up for a newsletter, and I can click one of these tags to look at popular product types. And then there's a lot more good stuff down here as well. But let's go ahead and look at one of the products. I'm going to go to knives and blades. Okay, here's some items here, and the tomahawk looks pretty cool. Let's check that out. Alright, and here's the product info, and a number of different options here as well. I can add this to a compare list, but I'm really feeling a tomahawk, so I'm going to go ahead and add that to my shopping cart. And just a side note, I realize that none of this is revolutionary. Just about everyone has shopped online before, but I just wanted to give an overview of the customer experience on my site, and in a minute I'll get to the admin side with some of the more complex features. So let's go ahead and finish up with the shopping cart. And you can see here there's a number of options. If I have a coupon or gift card, I can use those. But I'm going to go ahead and agree and check out. Now I can either check out as a guest, register, or log in, and then put in my payment information and complete the order, and that's it. So that's a quick run through of the customer side, and my focus was on the user experience. I wanted to have a simple and clean interface with a little bit of a wild and free feel to it as well, since it's for outdoor gear, but I'm really happy with how it turned out.
Now before I move on to the admin side, I need to give you a little more background. So for this online store, I had decided to go with the dropshipping model. And if you've never heard of dropshipping before, it's pretty simple. You have the dropshipping supplier, the retailer, and the customer. So the customer orders the product on the retailer site, the retailer sends the order to the dropshipping supplier, and the supplier ships the product directly to the customer with the retailer's name on it. That's dropshipping. So it's great for startups because it's very low overhead and you don't have to own a warehouse to start an online store. But there's also drawbacks because if a customer orders a knife on your site and your supplier just shipped the last one that day, you're not going to be able to fulfill your order. So you need to be able to monitor a supplier or multiple suppliers' inventories to make sure that your site is up to date. So my objective was not just to build the online store, but also to build a flexible monitor right into the site. And to do this, I use what's called the devCommerce platform. It's an open source ASP.NET based platform for developers building e-commerce sites. And one of the reasons why I chose this was because when starting a new dev job, you're most likely going to be working in existing code and adding to it. So I really wanted to challenge myself in that way. Now compared to the devCommerce code, our previous class projects were really much smaller, maybe a few hundred lines of code for a controller, whereas in this platform it was 4,000 to 5,000 lines of code for a controller. So really one of the greatest challenges that I faced was just trying to figure out where to go to add or change code. But at the same time, that really stretched me and helped me to learn a lot. So as I go into the admin side, I'll explain a little bit more about some of the other technologies that I was able to incorporate into this site to accomplish what I needed to.
Alright, so I'll go ahead and log in as an admin so I can show you that side of the site, as well as the external inventory monitor, as that's what I focused on during week 2 of the Capstone. And I'll go ahead and go to administration here. And so here we are at the dashboard, and this is just an overview of the sales and customer data. Obviously I don't have any sales here because I'm not quite ready to publish yet, but this is where you'd be able to see that information. And here you have a slew of different options for managing your store. And right now I want to edit a product to add a monitor to it, and I want to edit the pocket knife. Now this is where you're going to set up an external inventory monitor for this product, the pocket knife. And this is the page that we're going to monitor. This is a dropshipping supplier I was able to find and get registered with. And I will say that for this project there was a lot of research involved because so much of it was new to me. So I'll quickly take you through the process I went through in figuring this out and building it. So as you can see, we only need 2 pieces of information for this: the location of the inventory listing, and then the element that we need to track on that page. So problem number 1 is, how do we extract information from this page? In this case, whether the item is in stock or not. So the first thing we need to understand is how this web page is made. And that is done using what's called the Document Object Model, or DOM. And in HTML, this is an object model and programming interface that's used by the browser or other programs to build or modify the web page. And we can see this in action using the developer tools, and we can see the different elements of the page here as well. So after more research, I realized that what I needed to build in order to access this DOM is called a web crawler or scraper. And what I found to build mine is called the HTML Agility Pack. And this is a very popular open source package you can download to your MVC project, written in C#, and you can do just about anything you can think of in HTML with this. So I started by building a very rudimentary hard-coded crawler that was able to return information from the page to the console, but this brought me to problem number 2. How do I build a user interface that will allow me to access a specific web page as well as a specific element within that page? And that's where iframes come in. An iframe is used to display a web page within a web page, like web page inception. And here's a child window within the parent window. So an iframe will make it possible for me to be able to see my suppliers page right in my own admin page. Now this is my iframe. In a second you're going to see it in action, but there's a problem. Because iframes can potentially be a security hazard, cross-domain interaction between windows is strictly prohibited. That means I can open this supplier page in an iframe, but I'm restricted from modifying it to add a user interface with an element selector similar to this one, so I'm stuck. But thankfully I found a solution, and I'm going to go ahead and grab this URL address and show you how it works. So the way I solved this was by writing functions with the HTML agility pack to duplicate the DOM, then modify the duplicate and add an interface, and load that page into the iframe. So here we go. And now we can see the element selector and the element ID window that I was able to make by inserting mostly JavaScript and CSS into the DOM. But we have just one more problem. I still need to be able to transfer information from this page back to this one, but we run into that iframe cross-origin restriction again. So once again I had to research a solution, and what I discovered was the post-message method. Window.postMessage provides a controlled mechanism to circumvent this cross-origin restriction in a way which is secure when properly used. So I'm using postMessage in this page to send the selected element back to this page where I have a listener waiting for that message. And this is the element that I want to track, because if their availability is set to out of stock, I want my page updated accordingly. So I'll go ahead and click that. And you can see that added here, and I'll finish up by hitting this. And now we'll be able to see that the pocket knife is set to unpublished, and I'll go ahead and show you the customer view as well. So this is where the pocket knife was listed before, but the monitor has gone and done its job, and I no longer have to worry about accidentally selling a product that's out of stock. And assuming a user eventually adds hundreds of products, the best thing about this is that it has the potential to save them many hours a day if they tried to keep everything updated manually. So it's intuitive, but also legitimately useful, and I'm really happy with how that turned out as well.